Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Friday, April 12th, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I hope you're doing well. You had a wonderful week. You're feeling ready for a blissful weekend or fun weekend or peaceful weekend or restful weekend, an adventurous weekend. Whatever it gets to be, I hope that you are enjoying it already. Let's see where we are today. Another cut. Page of Cups. Leave it to me to be saying the wrong thing. First card out. Page of Cups. It's a message. Ooh. Wow. Oh shoot, what's that? A message that could bring balance, clarity, maybe clear up some confusion or illusion. Oh, Lord. Wow. So this could be incoming, a message that could bring stability and balance to it could bring balance and harmony to your foundation, whether that be to your home, whether it be to your so it could be the home physically with the Four of Wands, like somebody coming to your house, or a message or mail, or even virtually speaking, like some information that's incoming of a highly emotional nature, maybe even somewhat intuitive nature, with these two cards together, the Temperance and the Page of Wands, that may even seem a bit strange or out of the ordinary, I would say, in this regard, but that is going to bring some stability, stability to what was once perhaps a mystery or confusing, or just kind of like mystical, maybe even, or open-ended, that will lay a foundation of something that you can actually like rely on, depend on, and that is trustworthy. This is interesting. Wow. Queen of Wands. So it's like a message, perhaps even of a long time coming, but it's something that's either going to bring closure or clarity to stabilize creativity, like to bring more confidence and maybe even more passion or drive to what you manifest and how you manifest. So whatever this information is, this is the Queen of Wands, so it's something that is coming in that can be alchemized in a very productive and or reproductive sense as some type of force, fuel. It has the potential to ignite creativity, or to spark it, ignite it, or to empower it. But it's emotional though, because it's the Page of Wands, and like I said, it's something that could even seem a bit strange in essence. Yeah, but here's another page, but that has a great value attached to it, or great value potential. This is quite curious. It's a message of empowerment. For whatever reason, the nature of the message offers some benefit of like a word of confidence or security. It's something here with these two, but it's very spiritual as well with the Temperance card. And it's also given that it's something that's been anticipated, whether it was known by you or whomever is in this Queen of Wands energy or not. It's highly anticipated. It could even be something that you didn't know you were waiting on to be enlightened by, but it's so important that it has like transformative properties. I hear the horns in the distance. It literally has a transformative effect on you, and perhaps on your foundation of creativity, if not your actual home. So this could literally be about your actual home, or something that changes the sanctity of your dwelling in some way, shape, or form. Horns again, that brings some type of security and stability. You hear that? This is a big angelic presence here with the Temperance card. And it's either, like I said, something that you didn't know you were waiting on, or because of the patience that was exercised in the waiting, in the stillness, here comes this like libation of liberation. I don't know even what that means, but there's some urgency with it too. With those horns, I've never heard the horns going off that much. I think that's a train that passes through nearby somewhere. Even added value to this ideal of something transformative or transitional. But on sight, it doesn't look like it's as powerful as it is, but it is though. Okay, let's move on. I'm feeling like I'm missing something here with how that just came through, but we're gonna move on. whatever it is, it's not only highly positive, but also highly productive and prosperous. It has some type of promising potential, but more than potential, because with the sun, it's like the sun is more than potential. It's like certain, like as sure as the sun shines, it's not a matter of will it have a positive effect. Of course, it has a positive effect on everything. For the most part, of course, not being sunburned, but hell, that's more on account of you and how you shield yourself or don't, if you need to or not. But for the most part, the sun is as positive of a card as you can get, particularly if we're talking about a message, and not only the potential energy of that message, but also the impact that it will make. That's double Leo energy here, Sagittarius. And the Four of Wands, I believe, is, I want to say Gemini? I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong because I see it as a twin flame card, so I may be wrong about what that is, but for sure, it's also a good omen of there being some balance, harmony, structure, success, understanding. There's positivity all throughout this, all starting from this here message. So I don't know, maybe just be on alert for messages or intel coming from strange places or unusual places or spaces or even people, because really this can be like a kid. So it could be a note to maybe tune into what your kids are talking about, or something that your kid might say that might spark some inspiration or an aha moment that's like, oh, dang, wow. And it just clears the fog of that Seven of Cups on something that you may have been pondering for months, if not years, It could be that, something so simple like child's play, and it's like, how did I not see that, or how did I not think of that? That ultimately just sets the tone or trajectory for something groundbreaking and life-changing to happen. So certainly, and I can attest to that about really tuning in to what your kids say. My ears are always, open to what my son speaks, because usually it's something important. Like, for the most part. And he is a Scorpio kid, so that's interesting to see it that way with the water energy here. Quite deep and introspective and very in tune to his emotional nature in every way, shape, and form already. So again, like, it could, just that as an example, could be to not dismiss seemingly something simple from a child that could really be inspiring and impactful, life-altering at this point, like the way this is looking. Wow, King of Cups. Yeah, see what I'm saying? It's like, don't dismiss it. You could be looking at somebody like, what? Like a child, like, what do you mean by that? And it could be something as big as a King of Cups vibration. who somebody that's hot, like this is some energy that speaks beyond its years, you know. In this case, the way it doesn't have to be a kid, of course. It could just be an unsuspecting place of information or intel that has a powerful, that actually it looks a certain way, or it may be perceived by you as a certain, in a certain, in a certain caliber, or I don't know, even with a certain relevance, you know, or sincerity. Could be that too. When we're talking about the cup energy, it could be like you would almost want to dismiss some emotional expression, like a term of endearment or an apology, or maybe even being skeptical about, with the Seven of Cups, that could be some skepticism about the sincerity of a love offer or a love message, or some term of endearment here, when it could be coming from a supremely sincere space as the King of Cups. And you just, it could be coming from someone that you're not used to experiencing that vibration from, or that sincerity from. So it's kind of foreign to you. It feels untrustworthy. Like, what? Where is this coming from? Why now? Why? You know, now be discerning as the King of Cups would be proactively, to really protect your spiritual energy, your emotions, to be wise with what you allow yourself to be entangled with, or how you allow yourself to be, this is just a disclaimer, by the way, because the cards aren't reading that for me in this moment, but how you allow yourself to be emotionally attached. But for how it's coming up, the way that it did, with the sun in the center and even the temperance, it's like it feels like somebody may have matured spiritually, that they may have evolved from what you would expect from them, from where they were, or where you last encountered them or left them, or the last encounter you had, or just what you have come to expect from them. Like I said, like a child, to revere someone at a certain level of spiritual intelligence, but somewhere within this, in the spread throughout some process, there's been a maturation, and a highly spiritual one at that. For the Temperance card to show up here, that means that somebody didn't just grow in age and stature, or just in their human being, but somebody has ascended spiritually, emotionally, and maybe even their love, just simply, simply put, has matured in their emotional availability, in their capacity to love, to be loved, and to express love. And here you are sitting as the Queen of Wands, like, I don't know what's in that cup over there. But in the center of it all, it's like something could be the gateway to ultimate harmony, and like a really prosperous partnership, a very loving partnership, passionate partnership, prosperous, productive, balanced, fair, elevated, ascended, with the Temperance, like with somebody in this capacity purely now, not somebody that's looking to manipulate emotional energy, which, could be the question mark to consider, which is why I say be discerning. But someone that is willing to be vulnerable, as a child would be, right? To be vulnerable to the process of intimacy. It's a good sign for it to turn up in the King of Cups vibe, is all I'm saying. There's great potential here for some type of partnership, intimate dynamic. At least an offer is quite sincere. It seems. Let's keep going. It still may not be for you, because as sincere as somebody can be, it's still a matter of choice, of which the Queen of Wands, yeah, exactly, is very selective. But let's see what's on the bottom. Very selective. Let me get one with this. What's the Page of Swords trying to get away with? I mean, I'm sorry, the Seven of Swords. Let me see if it's the potential for what I think. Let me just check this card. Truth. Okay. I think I feel some energy on this, but let me get one more. And that was in a struggle position, so they may be. I get a different energy off of this today, strangely enough, which is rare for me, but it happens every now and again with the Seven of Swords, that someone is actually trying to make a great escape from a very isolated or someone's trying to figure out the escape from this stationary position here of the Hangman. How to perhaps leave one expectation for another is what I'm feeling. But there's a place where there's like an expectation for someone to be one way or another. But it's like someone in the Seven of Swords is trying to like ease their way out without disturbance or without, rustling feathers or something like that. Almost like sneaking out, but what's on the bottom? Let me see. Oh, yes. Yes, trying to sneak out of some cycle that has come to a close to get off to some new beginning. But it doesn't feel like a sneaking out in a shady way. It just seems like somebody's trying to get out unscathed or without causing more of a disturbance to their peace. Or causing a disturbance to their peace in a way that could be disruptive to how they have stabilized their energy. So it's given like somebody, as I said, that's done a lot of work on themselves, that's evolved, again, emotionally, spiritually, energetically. They've transcended some traumas perhaps, and they're trying to see themselves out of a delicate situation without almost like re-inflicting themselves. Or it's like, like when you're trying to sneak out to not wake the baby type of energy, it's like you really would want to have that moment of peace and rest. Now I hope somebody ain't literally trying to sneak out on a family to go be with another family. That could be a thing. In that case, you definitely need to be discerning, and that would make a whole hell of a lot of sense, okay? That somebody's trying to, that's leaving before they allow themselves to close one cycle fairly and honorably to go start something else all over again. But we know that wouldn't work out too well. So let me see. Let me get one on what I see what's being escaped. Because it's given that somebody feels enlightened. Like I said, it was like a struggle position, how it kind of came in on the side. Because it seems like somebody feels like they've outgrown a particular space and time because of all this work and evolving that's happened. So they're trying to leave out not to be a disturbance, not to be destructive or disruptive, but knowing the how volatile the position, their exit could be, so it's like somebody trying to get out with causing as little damage as possible, but probably to much. If you got to creep out like that, on account of somebody that you can't reason with, it's probably best to just rip the Band-Aid off, more or less. But hey, who am I to say? The point is to bring as much closure to the situation as possible, as forthright as you can, because regardless if once somebody realizes that they're the odd man out, they're still not going to be like, oh, well, I guess that's it. I lost out or I missed out, whatever. They're still going to have a problem with it because, as I said yesterday, when you're on your way to higher heights energetically, physically, materially, emotionally, spiritually, any way, shape, or form, anyone that's not happy for that elevation is going to be a hindrance to it. You can't get around it. So it seems like somebody will want to be as careful as possible with the delicate situation, mainly because they don't want to disturb their own peace and maybe bring themselves back down to a place that is disruptive. But it also matters that you just disconnect, no matter what the consequences may be or the casualties in that regard either. Just as long as you're moving honorably, the casualty really shouldn't be you. But it's when you try to do things sneakily or underhandedly that you make yourself a casualty, even when you have the best intentions. It's like somebody trying to leave. I'm not saying that this is what I'm feeling, because I'm about to pull another card to clarify this, but it's like somebody trying to leave like a Dear John letter or something like that, to just not even, like they just got a plot and a plan to see themselves, to sneak out in the middle of the night or just to go ghost on somebody, when it may work out. It may be less confrontational on the front end, but on the back end, you're still going to have someone angry and disgruntled, on your heels, or at least in your wake, because not only did you leave, but you didn't leave fairly and upright. So it almost gives somebody like the incentive and the charge to be combative, whether they actually have the right to be or not. But it charges that energy more than it should, than if you would have just said, look, I'm gone, and that's it. So I don't know what this is, but let me get one more here. I just want to kind of clarify if it is what I'm feeling, but the Ace of Swords feels, like, it matters to be upright in this. It matters to be upright. And I don't know, like I want to feel good about this. Yeah, but it feels like what I said, like where somebody really, they want to do the right thing for themselves more than anything else, but the means of the execution are delicate. I'll just say that. Let me see what's on the bottom. Ooh, that's the Queen of Swords. Yeah, somebody's trying to cut ties with someone that they're no longer on the same page with, or it's already a severed situation, but it's like she got a sword too, and it seems like she might be somebody is thoughtful about the response of the Queen of Swords. Let me see what she's looking at. Oh, yeah. This is either her facing singlehood or some resentment toward a single lady. Like somebody might even be projective about what this King of Swords may be looking to escape to. And that would be the trigger to feel some type of way, you know. And so that's why there's something, I don't know. I don't want to believe, but when the Seven of Swords set comes in, like I said, every now and again, I get the sense of it being like a concealment of information or trying to really like to avert some detection in some way, shape, or form. But usually when I have to work hard to affirm that, it could be something a little funnier than that. But it's the cards don't really read it. It's the energy for me. So it could be a matter of, like I said, somebody has fair reasons for wanting to release themselves from a certain connection, but how they're doing it may not be wise, or it may not be, it may not be transparent. I don't know. Let's see. Let's move on. What's under the sun? Can I get one under the sun? And in that case, it's like, that's why I said, like, it's up to you to discern, because as sincere as that apology, that endearing expression, the love offer, whatever it is, the love message here might be, it looks so positive though. There's no real cause for alarm in how it plays out. And then with the King of Cups showing up, let's see. Right? Wow. This is tricky. This is tricky. Because this is some high level passion here. What's on the bottom? Oh, for this single lady. Somebody that's single, independent, self-sufficient. Could be, again, the expression of the Queen of Wands in her single form, like not even necessarily on guard, very, not even on guard for this transmission, and then bam, here it goes with a whole lot of passion behind it. That's the thing. But is the passion pure? Under the sun and upright, it would appear to be so. This is a tricky one. Maybe it's just a matter of really allowing this. Perhaps the Page of Cups is like the initial, it's like the conversation starter. And there's all this great potential here, but the Temperance may be a caution to really kind of taking your time and allowing things to play out clearly. That it may have all this potential for something great, but so maybe the delicateness of it is the allowance for the unfolding and unveiling naturally. That's what I'm feeling. Because maybe somebody does still have some things that, whether or not they've sewn it up completely, hopefully they would have, that they've, in their great escape, it's been done honorably. But like I said, it's like for some it don't even matter, because you think that Queen of Swords, if she's felt some threat to her position as a partner, regardless of how estranged the relationship may be at this time, she may or may not still take it lightly that somebody has moved on, especially to some energy that she may feel a bit of a competition or a challenge by, like she, no matter what, there may be something delicate about this situation that you wouldn't want to rush the process and bruise the potential ahead of its maturity, right? Because with the Page of Cups and then the King of Cups, it's like it's all there. And maybe even the caution is because of how it's coming in, and how, it's like, I think for a lot of us, and I think this is fair to say, that a lot of us almost feel like, especially after all the time that we've waited, invested in ourselves, cultivating, our supreme selves, and, making ourselves an attractive force for the ideal partnership, divine partnership at best, that as soon as it shows up, it's ready-made, like, bam, we ready to go. You know what I mean? Like, let's exchange rings, exchange vows, move in together, happily ever after. That may or may not be the case. Like, maybe there's an idea of, there's an invitation to really manage expectations, given that we all are transitioning from something and someone, or, some thought, even if it's a matter of the transition of being single to now being in commitment. That's a big jump. I can attest to that, having been single for about 5 years now, like hardcore single, entertained maybe like one person, not even all that seriously, but just to say, like, it hasn't been cold turkey 5 years, but I'm just saying, like, there's been entertainment, but no relationship, nothing that I felt completely devoted or committed to. So in that regard, it could be quite a shift for me, an adjustment for me, to get used to being with someone that is, that I actually get to be accountable for, be vulnerable to, that the level of intimacy that's required, and attention, and, co-creativity that it calls for to be in a healthy, balanced, harmonious partnership. So this is all fair game, not to mention the fact, so like I said, that would be my shifting, that would be my adjustment, is what I mean to say. Not to mention, if someone is coming from something that wasn't the greatest, whether or not they've healed from it is also a question mark. But considering that they may have, and that there still is some sort of, they may have not been able to completely, because you can't control what other people do, unfortunately. So there may be still some mental or energetic attachment, even in terms of, like, say this is with the King of Swords and Queen of Swords, where there's an implication that they were a married couple that has now divorced. You might have you may have to have patience and grace for someone that is coming from a broken home or a failed marriage, or may even have children that they're now, bringing into the picture. Not to mention, that's something I also have in my arsenal as well, So I feel like maybe that's what I'm picking up here as to why I'm like, I don't know, it feels good, but I because there may be, especially given that a lot of us, obviously there's a reason why I haven't been too keen on relationships in a long time, and that's because I've been spending a lot of time healing from disproportionate relationships, and imbalance and disharmony, to want to spend as much energy and time on my own personal healing to be more attractive for what it is that I really want to cultivate in my life for the long term. And when you've been doing that for a while, you have a certain heightened expectation that it comes ready to go, like literally, like ready to wear clothes, ready made, to commit. And that just might not be the case. Even as you recognize it for yourself, where you thought you were a ready-made spouse or partner, there's still some things that you may get to learn about yourself in the wash of just dating and getting to know someone, or courting, and maybe even just friendship itself. Like I said, the Page of Cups could be a small love offer, something innocent, but yet sincere, that can grow over time, and that has all of this great potential and synergy. But you could see something that triggers you, or know of an extension of that circumstance that may send you into a fear that would ultimately reject something that has the potential to be a great blessing on account of what you've encountered in your past. So it doesn't mean that anyone is necessarily any less healed than what you've been cultivating for yourself on either end, but it does mean that there may need to be a balance of your expectations to of what something is supposed to look like on site, as opposed to the potential it has to grow with insight, if that makes sense. I hope so. I hope so. I think so. I don't know. Let's go over here and see what's going on the other side. Oh, wow. Okay. Hardly ever get this card upside down. Yeah, this is somebody that could have really done some serious, deep, dark healing. And that's why it's like a small offer, like almost somebody kind of inching their way out the gate, kind of testing the waters, because they've gone through a great deal, maybe on account of this failed relationship, or like I said, just the baggage of trauma and drama over extended periods of time. And like how when you're testing the waters for the first time, it's like you may have all the best intentions in the world, but it's not until you get into the thick of it, out into the deep of the ocean, that whether or not you're able to float. Like if you have evolved enough to be able to trust yourself with someone else and be trustworthy in an intimate exchange. That's no small feat, especially but what I love is that this was upside down. This was reversed. That means that somebody's not still in a cycle of depression or pity, self-pity, shame, guilt, remorse, or anything of that dense nature, that which is a sure test to the Temperance card. They've done a lot of spiritual work, a lot of healing work. Somebody that's been really working on their shadow self, healing it, accepting it, confronting it, releasing aspects of it perhaps, but definitely in a very highly productive way. Highly sensitive though, because this wasn't light work. This wasn't light work with the Five of Cups. This is somebody that has some deep, dark shadows to face, maybe some very nasty traumas, particularly from childhood, perhaps. it doesn't even matter to name how deep and dark it could have been. And I'm thankful for the sun being here, because what it just says is that how it speaks to just how devoted one must have been to overcoming those shadows, like I said, and transcending the dependency in that low frequency zone, to be able to have a hopeful outlook and perspective of themselves or for their future. And now look at all this passion for productivity in light of all that, despite bad relationships, despite maybe feeling bad or being, maybe even toxic in their own regard with dealing with other people. Certainly, there's that potential there as well. But let me see what's on the bottom. Wow, this is like a miracle type of healing, that somebody was not supposed to make it out of their traumas alive. Yeah, this is like a miracle case of healing. Somebody was so determined that it's like unrecognizably changed and transformed. I wouldn't be surprised if the death card came out at some point. That's what it's looking like. Like somebody is unrecognized, like, yo, that's such and such. Or somebody like exudes a certain energy off of them that's unrecognizable or just strange and rare now. Like the things they talk about just, is so foreign. Like somebody that was so anti-love before, I ain't never getting married, I ain't never giving my heart up again, I'm done with women, or I'm done, I don't trust no woman, or I'm done, whatever the case may be, that somebody has some very stringent, not just boundaries, but blockades up around themselves, on account of maybe even that's what that is, the Seven of Swords. Like somebody was, in some terms, wanted to avoid healing or vulnerability at all costs, and somehow, some way, they surrendered to it or submitted to it, and it was the best thing that ever happened for them, because it's like ignited every sensibility in their being now to alchemize whatever situation they encounter. But love is still a sensitive subject, it seems, because that's almost like the kryptonite for this type of superhero. Like they've been extremely vulnerable in those spaces before, and that's the place where they can incur the most infliction and bruise. Like they're most, delicate in that area. But it still says something that somebody is willing to overturn their resistance to it. They've overcome their resistance, and they're willing to try it out. They're willing to be open-hearted, open-minded, maybe even to communicate their affinity or their interest or intention to a very attractive force, which is the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands is one of them energies that, whether it be lust or love, it's like if it's in there and she stirs it up, if she does it for you, you eventually you're going to be incited to have to say something or have to follow that instinct in some way, shape, or form. But even still, as it's like a dip my toe in the water type of energy, it's still a brave approach for somebody that clearly has been extremely wounded at some point in time in their life. So that's what I'm saying, back to what I mean about really being careful with people. And it doesn't mean that you have to lower your standards, but it's really about being discerning between somebody that's just being careful and someone that is being withholding, there's a difference there, and I would never suggest that anybody would settle for someone that's not emotionally available, that doesn't have the capacity or the willingness to express themselves or be vulnerable emotionally. But it may cause for some patience to allow people to warm up to what may have been one of their greatest fears until they met you. You know, like, you may bring out the best in someone energetically that compels them to want to take a chance, a risk on themselves, to just see if they're ready, to see if, you know, now's the time, because they wouldn't want to miss an opportunity on something that looks and feels good. But they may be a little bit slow to the maturation or the evolving of the expression of those emotions, even if they have them, even if they embody them intensely. So I'm just saying this to say that you don't necessarily want to judge the book by the cover. You kind of want to skim through, read the table of contents, maybe skim through a couple chapters, you know, read the prologue or whatever the hell that shit is. See where somebody's coming from first by way of your own discernment, and then of course make a reasonable decision of what's best for you. But don't miss a blessing on account of it not having checked all the boxes of what you think love is supposed to look like, sound like, do, feels, you know, on sight, because it just may not be as fantastical as the whole twin flame, divine union, sacred union, kingdom spouse connection seems, certainly as fantastical as we make it seem one to another, particularly in social spaces. It might be a little bit more real than that, you know, which means it could be a little bit rockier of a start. But in your heart of hearts, you know, and energetically, you know, when you are investing yourself into something that is worth your time and when something is a waste of time. And I don't know, I just have grace for this situation, and it just could be one of many circumstances. It may not be yours, it may not be anyone's that's listening, but I feel like it's worth saying that everything is not going to be glittery on sight as we would want it to be. And then those things that come glittered up, you know, packaged just as golden as it can be, may not have much inside. You know, somebody could know how to say all the right things and love bomb you to death, put on all the right airs to gain your connection and your trust, your buy-in, your emotional investment, and really not have much, you know, in the upright of this, not have much emotional currency to offer in return. You know, they just know how to make it look good. You rather have grace for someone that's been through a lot, overcome and healed from a lot, and is willing, has the hope and the faith to try again, than someone that has been running from their healing, perhaps, no intentions of really facing themselves head on, maybe does have some open-ended situations, you know, some to be continued situationships lingering about that you wouldn't want to be attached to. Now that's the red flag, you know, like somebody that just jumped out of something with no time to kind of gather themselves, you know, to even reflect on a transition from one thing to the next. That's something different, you know, but I don't feel that here. There's way too much positivity for it to be just as simple as that, like a red flag, even though there is like a red flag in the sun card. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is somebody, oh man, that has been long term, that either has the idea or the passion to invest for the long run, that has the mind and the will to do it, and or they have invested in themselves for an extended period of time, and that's why they are in this pure, passionate, productive, prosperous, balanced, harmonious, emotionally available position that they're in now. It's somebody that wasn't afraid to put the work in on themselves to invest their energy wisely and productively in ways that materialized physically. So it's not just like the ideal of wanting to be better. Maybe it was somebody that went to therapy. Maybe it's somebody that has done a lot of self-help exploration by way of programs or books or, some type of spiritual guidance or something like that. They didn't just, and honestly, because sometimes with Sagittarius energy, it could be a matter of like self-healing through education or through spiritual or philosophical exploration. So it could even look like something like that somebody that was just so intentional about learning themselves and growing themselves that they invested in everything that they thought could help. That's admirable as well, because not everybody has the devotion and determination to do it yourself, to DIY your own healing, or the capacity spiritually. Whomever this is somebody very powerful, which is clear even with the Ace of Wands and the Sun card, the Temperance. It's like somebody didn't even know the potential that they had because they spent so much time down in the dumps. But the moment that they got active and got serious about their own well-being, emotionally, energetically, maybe materially, physically, perhaps, every which way they could work on themselves, somebody spared no expense, even if it's just in time and attention to do so. That in itself is like, whoa. Everybody ain't doing that. Yes, and that's why there is a point of great expectation. It's somebody that feels very hopeful about life, and they deserve to. They deserve to. Because when you've done such work, why wouldn't it come back to you? Why wouldn't it? This is somebody that has the capacity to literally have everything that they put their mind to, because of how much they filtered out the traumatic residue. Not to say it's all gone, but they've done such a significant work on themselves that it's something about having like cleansed their magnetic field. Yeah, that's why this Ace of Wands is here, because it's like something about having like really been upgraded. And yeah, with the Magician card, absolutely, that makes sense. Having been upgraded to really create and attract anything they put their mind, like it's as good as done as soon as they decide that they want it. And it's probably also a little bit scary for this person to see how powerful they are, is what I'm sensing, which is why this is like the final boss. Somebody has seen the magnitude of their power just in their determination to self-heal, to self-correct, to ascend, to motivate themselves, to be inspired, to shift their perspective, to come out of depression and perhaps oppression. And it's quite astounding to them that they're that powerful in the first place, but also quite invigorating with courage and confidence. However, the final boss is love for someone, because that's, like I said, that's been their kryptonite. That's been where they felt the most defeated. It seems like if they can do nothing, they can do everything else right in some way, shape, or form. The love thing has always been the challenge. And so that's why the energy here is very careful and, like almost a token of an expression to kind of see where it goes, because they themselves aren't yet convinced wholeheartedly that they have matured to meet the challenge in that regard. But whomever this is should be assured, as sure as the sun does rise and set, that this is your sign that you absolutely have and are worthy of that challenge. You have met the standards for that challenge, and you are worthy to take it on head first. Certainly. And it's no rush and no pressure to push it, beyond its natural unveiling or evolution of sorts, or whatever it gets to be naturally. It doesn't have to be pushed too hard. It just needs to be believed in from the same point of evidence that one has, and how they were able to pull themselves up by the bootstraps in every other way. All they need to do is continue to have that great expectation across the board, even in the thing that is the most touchy and the scariest and perhaps most vulnerable for them to engage, which is their heart, which is the case more or less for everybody in some way, shape, or form. Even those that are more earthy or more fiery, still the core of you is that essence that wants to be loved and seen and appreciated, and to feel secure in the most intimate exchanges when you're ready to be in them. So this is somebody that's ready, but that still is a little bit apprehensive. And that's fair. And I would stress that shouldn't be a red flag. Apprehension and carefulness shouldn't be a red flag. And I think it's fair that way to especially compare that to a Queen of Wands, who's a very much more bold and ambitious and, kind of like forward and proactive, like just jump out there and see where the passion drives you type of energy. But you may be someone fiery in that regard, regardless of your sign, that's dealing with somebody a little bit more careful, a little more considerate, a little more introspective, a little more delicate in their emotional nature, even if they don't seem to be. Somebody that is. And they're learning to really access their more primal nature of courage and ambition and drive and just all-out confidence, by way of the other evidences in their life, but it's still not foolproof for them. And that is okay. That's okay. It makes total sense to me. Let me get one more and then we out. Only one was absolutely going to pop out, and that's the Moon card. Yeah, here, but it's the Moon card, the mystique of emotions for me. It could be representative of emotional fear and obscurity. But given all that I said, it to me is talking more about how someone learned to excavate their emotional side, to learn how to alchemize it in a way that, like, the emotions are still there. This is somebody, like I said, that can be a very, as is the King of Cups that popped in, somebody that feels very deeply, and that is why they're particularly protective about their innermost self because they feel so deeply and they hurt. They can get hurt even more deeply. And this is somebody that's learned to not be afraid of that depth of emotion, but that has learned or is willing to learn. Well, first of all, they've learned how to navigate those deep waters for them, for their self. They've learned how literally how to excavate it into something productive, which is what makes crops grow. That and sunlight, of course, right? So it's like turning those deep waters from something that used to almost be a detriment to someone's character, that made them feel unsafe, that made them feel insecure, didn't make them feel grounded or stable, and certainly made them feel uncertain about how they allowed themselves to be vulnerable with or to others. But this energy here speaks more to what was invested in cultivating a confidence with that depth and in that depth and making it work for them. Like really appreciating yourself, as I said, like those shadow energies, but appreciating the highest value of it all, knowing that that's what makes you the King of Cups. That's what makes you highly emotionally intelligent, intuitive, and someone that can go to the depths of their emotional selves and come back head above water. When you learn how to navigate those waters, it's like when you learn how to swim, you're not so afraid of the deep end. It's when you don't know how to keep your head above water, to float, to tread water, to not allow your emotional energies to completely swamp you or overpower you, to even provoke you to responses that are not favorable or just wash you out altogether. Maybe somebody that really had an issue with depression, honestly, it could be that deep and dark. And perhaps that's why there's a temperance here, because somebody knows how much they've healed and overcome and just how bad it was. However, there's the apprehension is just wanting to be sure that this old energy doesn't bubble up to the surface before and really like impact or like make a dark impression on something that they hold in such high regard, like somebody having such high hopes for this potential connection, or just to be in a very positive, functional, harmonious connection with somebody they really like is what's here, and being willing and being in a place of willingness to want to be in commitment at this time. That's why it was the Page of Cups to the King of Cups, because somebody is sure that that's what they want. What they're not sure about is what darkness of themselves that they've so-called overcome or healed from is still lingering enough to impact what they truly desire or who they truly desire to be in this new vulnerability. It's like, will my old shadows come back to haunt me in a new connection? Will I have emotional responses that are not healthy? Will I fall into a depression and just like want to be alone all of a sudden and want to push somebody away? Will I fall into insecurities about my own worthiness and ruin a good thing? Like that's where somebody's mind takes them, when it can take them when they allow fear to, and that's the reason for this escapism here. Like, I don't want to mess up my stable ground of what I worked so hard for. So I'm trying to find a way to get in where I fit in, but without disturbing my peace. And somebody's questionable, like, is that possible? Is it possible now at this point of ascension that I've come to, that I am actually ready to now try myself and the deep energy that I know I have the potential for, to now be with someone else who clearly has a bit of a spark. And when you think about the difference in energies, because somebody still has a lot of passion as well, a lot of firepower, but they also have a great deal of emotional energy. And somebody is just thoughtful about something, whether something that they're so attracted to is good for them as they perceive it to be, and if they are as good for it as they want to believe that they are after all this time. That's a great feat, to a challenge to meet face to face. It takes a great deal of courage to even dip your toe in the water at that point, when you know your potential, you know your come from, you know your past, you know your triggers, you know your weaknesses, your soft spots, your vulnerabilities. And it's like one thing to be able to deal with that alone. But as I said, like even for someone, like I said, on the feminine aspect that's been single, you could feel like, at the top of your game when it's just you to answer to. But how does that get to look now that you have someone else to be considerate of? You having to temper your ambition and your enthusiasm to meet someone where they are, to be careful with your words and your expressions, to be delicate with someone's heart. Like you haven't had to do that for a while. I'm speaking of when I was talking about myself. You haven't had to do that for a while. So it does call for an adjustment. So certainly there could be an extension of grace for someone that may have a different set of considerations. And that certainly because of their nature, they're more emotionally driven. That's more at the forefront than someone that's more kinetically driven or passionately driven, where it's like for a fire sign such as myself and a lot of air, if I'm not at this mature stage in my life, I'm not necessarily jumping out the window, but I guarantee you when it comes to my fire energy against somebody that could be more emotionally driven, I would probably be more inclined to take certain risks to see how it goes before I would be thoughtful on the front end as to like, should I even do that, or what's going to happen if I do? The anxiety and almost like over thoughtfulness about what might happen if it doesn't work out. I'm more thoughtful about projecting all of my fire energy and my passion before and allowing things to play out and reveal themselves. But I still have I have more of an adventurous spirit to at least see it where things feel good and seem good and look good, and the chemistry is there, the energy checks out, and I'm like, well, why not? You know what I mean? Like, sure, let's see what happens. Emotionally speaking, which would be where the consideration would be for me, to now encounter somebody who is more driven in that regard and maybe more careful, and if anything, that could be the triggering part for me to be like, well, why are you pulling back? Why are you holding back? I know you feeling me. Why is it that you taking somebody that could take their time a little bit more, or just be a little bit more withdrawn or mysterious even, could cause a point of consideration, if not even contention. So I feel like I'm not just preaching to the choir, i.e. myself, about being open-hearted and open-minded about the differences of a potential divine attraction that could have every bit of something that has high potential, and that could even be so-called meant to be, even if it's for a season and a reason, but still has some great impact, and some potential to offer, but it not necessarily being in the comfort zone of even what I last or most recently believed would be comfortable, because now that I'm more evolved as a single lady in my singlehood, that's even different than what I say it is in this moment. Because again, you can't truly know until you kind of out testing the waters, getting your feet wet too, you know. So there's that for anyone that's claiming to be open-minded or open to receiving an intimate exchange, to exploring intimacy or the dating scene, the dating pool as it is. You get to really be graceful with your with your communion of sorts, creative and graceful, because certainly not everything has to necessarily be a happily ever after forever type of story, and everything that seems like it could be temporary might actually be the thing, you know. So allow your, oh my gosh, as I'm talking, wow. What? Oh my good. The Lovers in the World card. Wow. And I'm going to switch it this way because, as I said before, it's like leaving something behind and moving into something completely fresh and new. On both ends of the spectrum that I kind of talked about today, each person has a past. We all do. We all have a past experience. Some are more favorable or less favorable than others. But one thing's for sure is that the past is the past. And the future is certainly what you make of it from this present moment, and how you perceive the possibilities as they appear, as they reveal themselves, makes all the difference as to how they get to evolve. And that's you unto your most supreme self, and certainly as the attractive force that you have cultivated yourself to be, to now be. It's like, what was all the work for on either end? If you're honest, feminine and masculine energies that have come into the desire to be in union of a healthy nature, what was it all for? But it's like building yourself up for, you know, acquiring all this knowledge and information to never take the final exam or never get the degree, never matriculate into the real world. We did the work for the purposes of being the best selves for ourselves, and also for at least the sheer possibility of taking that self and joining it in a union that would be co-creative in a high frequency. So it's like you're never gonna know until you allow yourself to go and see what it shall be. You and me. Yeah, man, this is amazing. Thank you, Spirit. I love the high vibe messages personally. Like the nitty gritty sometimes is intriguing, but ain't nothing like a good old empowering. You're doing it. Keep doing it. You're headed in the right direction. No fear, no fret. It's all working out in your favor type of message. Nothing like it. That's the vein I like to be in personally, because you can never hear enough of that. You can hear what you've been contending with a million times, and it's still not forward you any more today than it did yesterday. But to know that this is the potential that you have cultivate it for yourself by way of that magician energy, by taking what was on hand, circumstances, situations, surroundings, your upbringing, your lot in life, and deciding to do something productive with it, with all your might, with all your will, with all your energy, literally cultivating the best of you. That is nothing to dismiss. Everybody ain't doing it. Nope. Everybody is not willing to do it. I was going to say or able, but I'm not even sure that that's true. But certainly some are able and not willing. So it doesn't even matter whether you are able or not. Because I feel like if you even have the capacity to be willing, Source will help you along the way for the rest. But some people just don't have the will at all to be any different or any better than where they are right now or where they've always been. So when somebody has the passion, purely the drive, the devotion to their divine nature with the Lovers, and they act out of that inspiration, oh yeah, that's something to be highly regarded and respected. So if you resonate with this message, you're doing the damn thing. Masculine or feminine, keep up the immaculate work. It's destined to pay off in dividends if it hasn't already in ways that you don't even realize. But certainly it will be clear exactly how so any day now. I guarantee it. I guarantee it because 'tis the season, man. It's not about the delay and holding on to the ideal of, ascension now. It's time that the sign and wonder presents itself. The signs and wonders present themselves in the very embodiment of you as a living testimony. No longer a living sacrifice, a living testimony to just what it looks like to transcend trauma and answer to the calling of your most divine design. That's you. The Son incarnated. That's you. So, thank you for listening and watching. I really do hope you felt something in this message and you take it to heart in its entirety if it resonates just a bit. Whatever that nugget is that empowers you, I pray that it really would ignite your passion to just act out of that truth even more than before, so that you can continue as a magician to materialize more evidence in that regard, for more confidence to do what? Keep going, keep being you, keep doing what you're doing. I'm ending the message. As you can see, I'm a little bit amped up. But thank you for listening and watching. Until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.